I'm joined in studio today with Lonesome Pines.
Hi, how's it going?
There you go. Are we on?
Yep, I'm on? Cool.
Yeah. So thanks for being here. Welcome.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. I love playing music, and any chance to support KOPN is one well spent.
Tom's here with like a really cool, wonderful setup. He's got 3 guitars and a mandolin laid out on the ground. He's sitting in between all of them. Can you tell us a little bit about the idea behind this?
Yeah, I will. So I've always kind of, experimented with what I have at hand and trying to make it more than it is. And, along the way, you get inspired by different things. This is inspired by a harp, but it's also just kind of like, how many instruments can I play at once? So I've got 3 guitars and a mandolin, and I sit in between them and I strum them. And it kind of makes like a lot of different soundscapes. I have them tuned open, but there are some harmonizing strings on there that allow me to make like various chords. I can make every chord in the C major scale except for the B diminished, but it's loosely tuned to G. So I go by Lonesome Pines. I've been making music under this moniker for a while. I don't have anything released, and you can't find me online. That could change, but I kind of like it this way.
And Thomas has also been in just about everybody's band, it seems like. But right now he holds it down most often that I know of in Maxito Lindo.
True, yes.
And y'all have a show coming up tonight?
No, it's tomorrow. Yeah, Friday night at Cafe Berlin. We're playing with Jack Grelly. He's from St. Louis, but he spent a lot of his formative music making years here in Columbia. Another folk act called Joe's Truck Stop. So we got country folk, and then Maxito Lindo, the band I'm in. We're kind of like a psychedelic band that likes to make soundscapes and groove.
I think they're one of the coolest bands out there.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's sponsored by Bell's Brewery, so come drink some Bell's beer and get funky with us.
Yeah. Tom's going to play with us, or play some music for us in just a second, but first I wanted to ask one thing I've been thinking a lot about as far as music goes, having sort of recently just moved here, is the landscape. And how do you feel like that, if that has affected your music?
Well, I guess a note on the landscape. I grew up in the deeper Ozarks, around the 11 Point River. And I moved here, and I kind of was just like, wow, yeah, this is nice, but it's really not, like, calling me. Like, I've always wanted to move home. But the more I spend time here, and the more nooks and crannies I discover, the more I love it. It's such a beautiful place, and it's so easy to get to, like, nature and whatnot. And it's like the very northern border of the Ozarks. And this is a town where I kind of discovered a little more freedom of space. And so, yeah, maybe we're on the edge of the hemmed-in Ozark land, approaching the plains, and we're making more space up here than down there. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's my riff.
It's great. Well, you ready?
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So this is Lonesome Pines on open strings. That was Lonesome Pines. Is this on? There we go. That was Lonesome Pines in studio at KOPN on Open Strings, 89.5 FM. And we're going to play a track here, and then we're going to get back to talking to Toms. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for playing.
You're so welcome.
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
I wish you all could have been in the studio for that. So Thomas plays his Lonesome Pines, and also holds down the grooves in Maxito Lindo.
Yes,
and
yes.
is in a slew of other projects, constantly playing music, seems like.
It's true.
I wanted to ask you about in improvising. Where do you go?
Okay, so I like to find a way to make the jam last forever, and a lot of times for me that just kind of turns into like subtly shifting the rhythm and the rhythm riff or something like that, just enough to like totally change the face of the song, but like in a very mellow transition at the same point in time. So that's like a place that happens for me in improvisation. And then I just try to be like a conduit for the nether regions of our universe, something of an antenna or something like that, to just like gain any glimpse of where to go next, and it usually works out.
That's wonderful. When improvising, So at the beginning of my shows, I like to do a deep listening little exercise, and it seems like while you're improvising, you're also deeply listening to like any nook and cranny of sound that's coming out.
Definitely. I've always been that way, and I feel like at times it could hamper my ability to stick with a song, or like in my early musical learning, I would get frustrated because I would hear the way I was just slightly off, and I then couldn't play anymore. Or for instance, during the guitharp set today here at KOPN and across the airwaves, I picked up one of my guitars to play, and then its strap was rubbing on one of the other guitar's strings, and it was kind of like a little off pitch, but I heard this like really subtle sound, and these days I'm able to just kind of roll with that. And so I used that as the inspiration for the next thing, which was, if you were listening, it was kind of like a chaotic rattling sound, and that was where I was taking one of the other guitar straps and shaking it around as if it was like a ribbon dancer, and just shaking it all over around the guitars and making like a chaotic racket. And so there's definitely a lot of deep listening happening for me, and the trick is to not be distracted and have those two planes of attention and awareness kind of operating together.
Yeah, it seems like what am I trying to say? It seems like two things are happening when I'm watching and listening. Is one, that you're extremely present with the music that you're making and like the physical act of making it, and deeply listening to all the sounds that are coming out. But it also seems like you're in another space at the same time. Mm-hmm. And the presence is bigger than the room that the sound is in, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. And then the quieter the listener is, the more they're transported to a new space. Playing in a bar, I often find people do get really quiet when I play. No matter what the theme of the night has been, I've played metal shows, I've played all kinds of stuff, and the people that are in the room are usually a little more quiet during my set. So
yeah, that's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Thomas, thank you so much for coming on and spending an hour with us and preparing all this and joining us for Open Strings.
My pleasure. I'm riding the waves of life at the moment. I've worked in kitchens for lots of hours and never had enough time to get up here to KOPN, even though I live a 2-minute walk, and now I'm a little freed up, and I'm just thrilled to be able to take part in such a beautiful radio station.